what to collect before your tenant moves in. Stay tuned for my checklist. If you've already committed to renting to a tenant, surely you got a deposit from them guaranteeing that you would reserve the apartment for them. That is usually done as soon as you've approved them and prior to them moving in. You definitely want a strong commitment from them, assuring them that the unit will be available. Now, it's one thing if the apartment is already empty, which guarantees you will be able to deliver it. It's another when you're coordinating with a current tenant to vacate, clean up, and then deliver the unit. But to start, you must collect a deposit guaranteeing that the apartment will be available for the time that you have promised. Prior to you turning over the apartment, you must make sure that you collect whatever it is that you set as requirements. In Massachusetts, there are certain things that you can ask for, and this you cannot ask beyond what is authorized by law. What do I mean by that? Well, in Massachusetts, and like many other states, at the time that you turn over keys or prior to, you are allowed to collect the current month's rent, a security deposit equal to or less than the current month's rent, and you also have the option of collecting what's called last month's rent. What is each one of these? Let me explain. The current month's rent pays for the current month that the tenant will be living in. They pay usually between the 1st and the 5th, and it covers the month that they're in. So those are funds you've earned as soon as you receive them, because if the tenant vacates at any point, the rent's covered up to the end of the month. One question that comes up is, what if a tenant wants to leave on the 15th or the 20th or any date that is not the 30th? As a simple rule, you can simply follow the policy that the rent must always be covered in full with no adjustments. If you want to show some courtesy, you do have the option of prorating the rent, meaning if somebody vacates on the 15th, they'd only pay half the month. But be careful, because it can be considered discrimination if you follow this policy with one person but not another. Simply stated, you must have rules that you apply to everybody equally, the same. What is last month's rent? Last month's rent is the deposit that you will hold from the tenant so that when they choose to vacate the apartment, rather than paying you for the last month that they live there, they simply give notice that they will vacate, and therefore rent's already paid in full. Those funds must be held in an account as a credit to the tenant until such time that the tenant tells you, I am leaving, I am vacating, and therefore at that point on the 1st of the month, you've earned that rent as income. That means the tenant will in fact have used whatever rent they were going to pay you to pay whatever unit they're going to take the following month. Again, they'll have to come up with a first month, last month, possibly a security deposit on any new unit that they will be renting, unless of course they move into a house that they're buying. Last and most importantly is security deposit. This is what gets people in trouble. The rules may vary state to state, but listen very carefully. In Massachusetts, you are allowed to collect a security deposit that equals no more than the current rent. When you receive that security deposit, you have an obligation to provide the tenant a receipt within 30 days of having received it. And the receipt must include the following information. 1. It must include the tenant's information. It must include the owner's contact information. And this is the part that gets people in trouble. You must make arrangements to deposit the security deposit in a bank account on behalf of the tenant. It is not your money, so you must go to the bank with the tenant's social security and date of birth. The banks will usually require that you fill out a W-9 form and have it signed by the tenant, and then you simply open what's called a security deposit account. The funds will be deposited into an account specifically held for the tenant, and any interest earned on that account belongs to the tenant. If you get sued or have a judgment against you because you've created this account, that account means the money does not belong to you. The law in Massachusetts is particularly strict because it wants to make sure that you protect tenants' money. So again, as soon as they move in, within 30 days, you must deposit the funds into an account and then afterwards produce a receipt to the tenant advising them of your name, your address, what bank the money is held in, the address of the bank, and the account number. They cannot touch it, they cannot do anything, but they know that the funds are held in escrow on their behalf. When the tenant chooses to vacate, you will be able to do a walkthrough through the apartment and check off any problems or defects. If you find that it is necessary to repair the apartment, the law allows you to itemize and deduct the necessary repairs and then deduct those out of the security deposit that you held for the tenant. Then, after the tenant vacates, no more than 30 days after, you must produce a receipt itemizing the charges and the return of the balance of the security deposit. Of course, if the damage exceeds the security deposit, the tenant in fact now owes you money. But that's a different question of whether you want to pursue damages from a tenant or not. The law again is strict in requiring that landlords have security deposit accounts. Now, if you're dealing directly with the tenant, chances are they don't know the law either, just as you may not. But if you do end up in court, you are likely to be sued for failing to comply with the security deposit law. If you have been found to violate the law, the judge can order that you pay double or triple damages, which is double or triple what the security deposit is. My suggestion on any client that comes asking for help is, as soon as you have a problem with the tenant, particularly one that is likely to go to court or may already be in court, is pay the security deposit back to the tenant immediately, regardless of what other issues are pending between both of you. This will simply eliminate the possibility of double or triple damages because the law was set to protect the security deposit. And in paying it back to the tenant, what judge will listen to a tenant arguing that they did not get the security deposit back when in fact they already have? The risk of loss is eliminated 100%. Now, you may still be liable for failing to pay interest as a consequence of not putting the money into a proper security deposit account, but the statutory interest is only 5% per year. That is very different from triple the amount of funds held by you. Taking into account the higher rents in the area, you understand that most deposits are anywhere from $1,000 to $2,000. Double or triple can easily be $4,000 or $6,000. So you all understand what I mean. Good luck learning to be a landlord. Good luck learning to be an investor. If you enjoyed this video, please press like and share it with a friend to teach them how to properly handle security deposit accounts. Good luck. Best of luck becoming an investor or owner in the future.